for business news now, and I'm joined by Solange Mougin. Hello, Solange.
Hi, Alison.
Solange, you are starting us off with those shortages at the gas pump here in France.
Yeah, and if you're in the Paris region like we are, you may have noticed long lines at gas stations. Sometimes they even go on for hours. And you may have noticed as well, some petrol stations are actually entirely closed because they've run dry, as they haven't received petrol deliveries. Now, why is it suddenly so hard to find gas for your car? Well, it is not because of insufficient supplies. It's a logistics problem that's causing this shortage. As Yinka Oyetade explains, this is largely due to striking refinery workers.
This may look like your run-of-the-mill petrol station, but in these long queues you'll only find key workers like health professionals. They are being given exclusive access to these petrol pumps as the country struggles with fuel shortages at 15% of stations amid a strike by refinery workers.
I'm an independent nurse. I do a lot of driving, so I need fuel. When you have a job like ours, shortages are a big problem.
In a bid to ease the crisis, the government is tapping into its strategic fuel reserves. The country has at least 3 months' worth of stocks saved. Since the start of the week, in the north of the country, 18,100 cubic meters of fuel has been taken out of 2 depots to replenish dry pumps. As the strike persists, oil companies are looking elsewhere, importing fuel from countries like the United States, the Netherlands, India, and the Middle East.
The measures to increase fuel imports will stay in place until the situation gets back to normal.
That might take a while. 4 refineries and 1 depot have been shut for over a week now. Operations at 2 other refineries have also come to a halt. One of the strikers' key demands is a 10% salary increase.
We are still determined. We are mobilized to exercise our rights to get a good enough pay rise.
The French government held talks between oil companies and unions Thursday in a bid to find a solution to get petrol flowing again.
Now, the workers are particularly angry considering the profits that Total Energies has made in the last year. In the second quarter, it doubled its profits to $2.6 billion, and Total announced this week that it plans to reward its shareholders in December with some 2.6 billion euros in dividends, leading the refinery workers to ask, what about us? So far, Total has said it is willing to negotiate next year's salaries, but not catch up with the 2022 ones. Now, staying with oil, we now turn to OPEC Plus's decision to slash production. Wednesday's announcement has meant that oil prices are rising to the advantage of Saudi Arabia and Russia, and it's also largely seen as a slap in the face to Joe Biden after his recent plea towards Riyadh. Now, the U.S. president said he's currently mulling how to respond to the cuts and how to keep oil prices from rising sharply before the U.S. midterms. With multiple options on the table, the U.S. may either release more oil from its reserves or curb energy exports.
What's your reaction to the OPEC Plus decision, Mr. President?
Disappointment, and we're looking at what alternatives we may have.
Is Venezuela one of those alternatives?
There's a lot of alternatives we haven't made up our mind yet. But it is a disappointment, and it says that there are problems.
Are you worried about...
Now let's take a look at the markets. European markets had a rough start to the day as they all opened down, but they're slowly getting out of the red with some flat numbers this midday in both London and in Paris. It's currently at 0.09, the CAC 40. Frankfurt is nearly flat, but still down. It saw the biggest dip this morning. Now, such numbers are due to the energy crisis, but also jitters over an upcoming U.S. jobs report today. It's actually expected to be good, to show an increase in jobs. But that could also mean that the Federal Reserve is prepared to continue raising interest rates to continue curbing inflation. Now, in regard to energy inflation, European leaders are currently meeting in Prague to discuss the energy crisis hitting the bloc. Specifically, they're sparring over whether or not to introduce a price cap on gas, with France and over a dozen other nations in favor of a cap and other countries like Germany and the Netherlands against it. The issue is a divisive one that may be hard to get an agreement on. But Meanwhile, consumers and municipalities are increasingly having a hard time paying their bills. Yinka Oyetade explains how a small French town is especially feeling the price hike.
It's time to get those wool sweaters out. In Saint-Vallier-de-Thiers, those working for this southern French town won't be allowed to turn their heating above 19 degrees this winter. It's a rule being rolled out for all public buildings across the country as part of the government's energy plan.
If we have to wear a sweater, so be it. We just have to do more and more.
Schools will also have to turn down their thermostats. While temperatures in daycare and nursery schools will have a cap of 22 degrees, primary schools must lower them to 19. With the harsh winters fast approaching in this mountainous region above Nice, where it regularly snows, the school board is concerned.
It sounds like it's going to be difficult. I'm worried about the children's well-being.
The mayor says he's scrambling to deal with the crisis. The town's energy costs have increased by 90,000 euros. While he feels the government's measures to cut back are a good first step, he fears he may have to raise taxes to pay the bills.
There's little room for manoeuvre for small towns. We've had economy measures in place for some time to avoid increasing taxes.
The town has saved some money by changing to LED lights and switching off street lamps between 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. The roofs of some government buildings will also have to be renovated in a bid to increase insulation. France hopes steps like these will help cut the nation's energy use by 10% this winter, with a view to reduce it by 30% by 2030, in order to combat the current energy crisis and climate change.
And finally, from me, a very unfortunate and, to be honest, rather disgusting incident for a client of the fast food restaurant Quick, which is actually the first hamburger chain in Europe with some 400 stores. There are many of them in France. After ordering a burger and a salad, the unfortunate client in France discovered a dead mouse in her salad. Turn away your eyes now if you are queasy. She went on to post the rather gruesome images and has decided to sue Quick for damages. Her tweet has received over 16,000 likes. So the fast food chain promptly replied with a press release saying a mouse in a salad is unacceptable and it is stepping up its quality controls. For me, Alison, this is a reminder to always wash your salad before
Wash your
eating
salad.
it.
Maybe look at your salad before you eat it in a
Look for some
restaurant.
fur.
A mouse is cute. A dead mouse is gross.
At least
and
it wasn't.
sad.
At least it was whole.
Oh my God. Yeah, true. You could have had half of it in your mouth. Solange Moujon, thank you very much for that image, for those images for all of us. In today's business update, time for us to take a quick break here on Live from Paris, but stay with us. More news coming up in just a moment.